Hi everybody, my name's Bob Saunders and I'd like to talk to you today about archangels, who they are, what their job is and so on. As far as I'm aware, I've been told by my guides certain things and I'd like to tell you what they've told me. Now, there's two sorts of archangels. There are the ones who are called the engineers of life. Their job, if God is up here, they're just below, and they work directly for this God force. Okay, and their job is to take spirits of life that have been created by God, put a stamp on them, a logos, that tells these little spirits of God what their function is going to be, and to place them round the galaxy, planet Earth and other places, wherever they're needed. And these archangelic beings, their job is to, as I say, take these spirits of God, and they can turn them into stone, water, plants, animals, humans, whatever is needed anywhere in the galaxy, or in this case on planet Earth. So let's limit ourselves to planet Earth. Now, according once again to my guides, they cannot be imagined by man. They don't resemble man in any way, shape or form. These are not white beings with great wings and things like that. They're some force that we can't imagine, and their sole function is to keep the whole of life in balance. They not only they don't create life, God creates life. They not only push life backwards and forwards, but whilst it's here just on planet Earth, what a plant, for instance, or an insect or an animal, or us humans, they're constantly monitoring the genetics of the system, and as the planet Earth changes very slightly all the time, so they're constantly changing the DNA of all these things in the hopes of keeping them all alive and all well and fitting in with the planet Earth as the planet Earth changes. Okay, so these are strange creatures to our eyes, but they're very, very necessary, and without these beings, life would not exist at all. They're essential to the ongoingness of life. Now, that's the first type. Now, the second type concerns us, because believe it or not, it's your destiny and mine one day to become an archangel. Now, we were tiny spirits of God at one stage, and these archangelic beings that I mentioned earlier decided out of the blue, they just took randomly these little particles of God, gave it a stamp that told it that you were going to be a human being and I was going to be a human being, and from then on we're human beings, and we will stay for all eternity human beings. Don't believe this story of karma where you could be turned into a snake or a rat. Or you're a human being and will always be a human being. Now, from that point, and we're up in heaven, our home is in heaven. Now, from that point on, we divide into two a little bit. There are people like us that automatically sense that they're not perfect in the way that we ultimately need to be, so we need to have some experience of hot and cold, pleasure and pain, and all the various other things that can happen in order to reject what we don't want and keep what we do want in order to become more perfect. When we're up in heaven, we are in a way perfect, but without experience, and experience is vital to the ongoingness of human life. because otherwise, if you had, none of the people had experience, we'd all be like little newborn babes, and it would all be a bit sort of pointless. It's the experience that keeps the whole thing going. Now, those ones that decide that they need a certain experience incarnate here on earth, and we go through this life suffering quite a lot, and pleasure and pain and all the rest of it, all the marital stuff, and you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure, until finally we die and we go back to heaven, and from there we advance in the spiritual planes. Now, in the meantime, there's another group of humans that didn't need to go through that. They were more naturally sort of perfect, and so they stay in heaven, and they too learn, and they too advance. And because they've got a step up on us, because they're naturally more spiritually minded than we are, their destiny is to go through all the different levels of the levels of the astral world in the heavenly spheres, all the different levels in the heavenly spheres, and ultimately, and while they're there, they're busy serving, they're busy helping, they're busy pouring energy down into us, and then eventually they get to the point where they are considered perfect, and they become what we call archangels. Now, their job is not finished at that point by any means. It just means that they're much more powerful beings than when they started, because they've developed, they've had experiences in the spiritual planes and developed a vast amount of spirituality, and they can use that to pour down to us. If you could see the amount of energy that's being poured down to us every minute of every day from the heavenly spheres, it's just amazing, and yet we still don't absorb it. We go battling on our way. But anyway, the point being that these beings will advance to the point that they become archangels, and then their ultimate destiny, when they've gone through that experience and they no longer need to be incarnate, is to merge with the God sphere, and they kind of disappear at that point, and nobody can keep track of them. Now, your destiny is exactly the same. You're going through this incarnation, as am I, and once it's finished, we go into the heavenly spheres, and from there we develop much as the archangel, much as the more perfect people were, and we ultimately also, a long way in the future, will become archangels when we've perfected the path towards God. And we will stay as archangels just as those other beings did, and will pour energy down. Well, even long before you become an archangel, you'll be working to pour energy down and acting as guides for people and things like that. And then when you get to the being a part of where you're an archangel, then you'll be a really powerful being, and you'll really be pouring a lot of energy down here. Then ultimately one day you'll outgrow that experience and you'll merge with the Godhead. But for you and me, that's zillions and zillions of years into the future, so don't think you're going to disappear tomorrow, because you're not. Now, I will just mention something that may upset some people, and it's about having archangelic guides. Now, I'm going to use an analogy. Imagine if you lived in America, you picked up a phone and you phoned the White House and you said, "Can I speak to the President, please?" They would almost certainly say to you, "No." You can speak to an undersecretary, somebody much lower down the chain of command than the president, but you wouldn't be able to speak to the president unless you yourself was part of that sort of hierarchy that surround the president. It would be the same if you lived in England and you wanted to phone the Prime Minister or the Queen. It's not easy. Now, the point I'm saying, the reason why I'm saying that is that some people say that they do have guides that are the Archangel Michael and, I don't know, Jesus, whatever. And the problem with that is that these beings are so far remote from us in terms of spirituality that direct communication with an archangel would be very, very, very difficult indeed, because it's not that they wouldn't want to speak to us, but the difference in level is so great that I should imagine if they did try and speak to us, we'd be overpowered with their power. It might even kill us, I don't know. But so what I'm not saying that they don't help us, but what they will do is send the message down through a chain of command to somebody in the spirit world who's not far remote from people like us, and then communication can take place much more easily. And I'm not sure that they would do it in the name of Saint Michael or Saint Joseph, or I'm not sure that they would do that. But anyway, I very, very much doubt if you could directly talk to an archangel. Now, there's nothing wrong with praying. Really and truly, you should pray to God. But if you want to pray to Jesus or an archangel or whatever, nothing wrong with that. But and it's quite possible that someone will pick up your prayer and pass it up through the chain of command to that person. But I don't think that you can have a direct contact with an archangel, as far as I'm aware. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to me, and I'll speak to you again on another topic another day. Bye.